Now, Southwest Airlines is total chaos. They don't have any assigned seats. So everybody pours out. Have you flown Southwest recently? Jesse and Kelly DeForest, when we went to New Orleans a couple of weeks ago, they flew Southwest, no assigned seats. Helter Skelter. It's like Charles Manson took over the airlines. Helter Skelter, my friends.
Exactly.
Imagine it. It's like musical chairs. All of a sudden, people are like diving for seats. As if you went to a concert and they just opened the gates or a ball. Imagine if you went to a ball game. And it happens in Saratoga, I guess, which is opening up later on this week. Saratoga Race Course, where the people are piled up by the gate. And as soon as they open the gate, they all make a mad dash to try and claim one of the tables outside. I mean, people running. People have guys stashed in there. They pay people to wait online and claim a table for them.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, one Mike Lubie Lubitz, as we celebrate yet another Degenerate Friday. A week has flown by here in lightning-like fashion. Unbelievable. Speaking of lightning, I was getting struck, at least around the house here. Lightning was striking all over the place. I had a little power outage right before the show, but here we are. We're alive and well, although it looked like I might have sparked your hair, Lubie. What happened?
It's time for a haircut. I don't know if I've had a haircut since we've been doing South Florida Live. It's been a long time. Days are a little busy these days, so it's been hard to find time for a haircut, but had to clean it up and get right as we start this weekend.
You look very corporate, man, like you're ready to go back into corporate broadcasting, maybe get a job at iHeart or something, some low-level position there where you could work your way up and eventually get fired from a better position once you finally make it. It's always a great thing about being in this business. All right, good to be with you. A Degenerate Friday. We survived Black Wednesday this week. That's always an exceptional thing. Although I don't know. I mean, if you're betting baseball right now, what are you doing? You're betting against the Yankees. They lose a doubleheader to the Houston Astros yesterday, and all of a sudden, there's signs of unraveling. They're panicking in the New York papers. They lead, I guess, over the Boston Red Sox. I would imagine is still, pretty close to the same. What would they lose? Could they have lost a game and a half in the standings yesterday? It's possible if the Red Sox won. I didn't even see if they played. I'm not sure they did.
They're close as the Rays, and they're up by 12 and a half. 12? They're up by 12 on the Rays.
Andy says we're backwards on the screen here, that we're not in our usual position. Is that a change? Oh, there you go. Look at that.
I mean, it's
remarkable, Lubie. What do you think? I mean, should you be on the left or?
I don't care.
You don't care?
You can be on the left. I don't give a shit.
I mean, positioning is very important in this sort of presentation, isn't it? We have many things going on today. Lubie's been busy. Lenn Robbins going to join us, one of our favorites on a Degenerate Friday. Of course, we have the professor with the big board. That's going to happen kind of early today. We'll get that underway about 7:30 this morning. Lenn Robbins about 8:30, and then at 8:20, right? And then the Gambling Gourmet going to join us about 20 to 9 there. So action-packed and many things to discuss here on the program as we get back into it and ease back into degeneracy. I don't know if there's a way to ease back into it. I didn't have I did have some action yesterday at Saratoga. I managed to weasel my way out to a local pari-mutuel facility and punched away. Had a pretty good time. Saratoga, usually known as the graveyard of favorites. I always thought that was Belmont Park, people. Wasn't Belmont Park? Somebody can help me out here. Andy might be able to verify this. I always thought that Belmont Park was known as the graveyard of favorites. And then Saratoga, which has been a graveyard of favorites, sort of took that title over. But I always thought of Belmont Park as a graveyard of favorites, and yet Saratoga has not been that. It's not lived up to its reputation. There have been some bombs. Obviously, there have been some price horses, as there would be at any racetrack on any given day. I mean, rarely do you see like 9 favorites prevail or 9 races with all short-priced horses, unless you're at like the Trotters at Yonkers or something along those lines. But rarely do you see this much form holding up. It's kind of disturbing a little bit to those of us that like to immediately eliminate the favorite from winning potential and use that horse either second or third or just throw them out altogether. Very, very difficult to make money when the favorites are prevailing. And that was kind of the MO yesterday. Although I managed to escape with a little bit of cash, so that was good. So that fuels another opportunity to get back to Saratoga, perhaps as soon as today. Why not? Hey, it only goes on for so long, so you may as well take advantage of it. Many South Floridians head up there also and love having a little vacation there. You also have my favorite race of the year taking place in New Jersey, at least scheduled to take place. I believe they're running this thing on Sunday, not Saturday, and that is the fabled Eddie Haskell, the Haskell Invitational. Name for character in Leave It to Beaver. No, I think there must have been some guy named Haskell that was prominent in the thoroughbred scene in New Jersey at some point in time. They named a race for this person or whatever, this establishment. And it's a fabled race in New Jersey. They really party. They know what to do. Our friend, the Godfather of Fun, Don O'Malley, who's now a big fan of the show, by the way, Lubie. Turned him on to the link. And the boys are watching again in New Jersey and catching the audio and video stream that we're doing. They were big fans of our Degenerate Friday show. Sure. And the Godfather of Fun told me he already has put, I think he said 400 beers in the swimming pool on ice, getting ready for this party that he's throwing. He's hosting like 70 people at Monmouth Park, which they have this big picnic area. It's kind of cool there. I mean, it's, I don't know if it's the poor man's Saratoga, but it is a nice little setup where the shore meets the manure. Or whatever that is. I think that's, you know, you have Del Mar where the turf meets the surf because it's right there by the beach. And then Monmouth Park, not too far from the Jersey Shore. And I think that's the slogan they use, where the shore meets the manure. Is there a city in New Jersey that doesn't smell bad? It must be. I don't mean to put it down. I like New Jersey. I'm a big Atlantic City fan, but is there a city there that doesn't smell like Newark? I guess maybe that's the odor that's emanating from Newark, and it just happens to permeate the air all over the state. No, I mean southern New Jersey, right? It's pretty clean down there. Farmland. Are you kidding me?
When I was at wherever we were, where we did that high school game, and then I ended up staying in the hotel because it actually
West Orange.
The same amount of money and time to go from there to the city than actually be outside the city into the city. It didn't smell there. It was nice. It was beautiful, and it was like snow. And
West Orange, New Jersey. Yeah, that was Chris Fisher special.
Yes,
as we were doing the Wounded Warriors game there. That was a lot of fun, and professional wrestlers were involved later on today too on our Believe podcast. The Big Show, one of our favorites, is going to join us.
Yep,
the Big Show, also known as Paul White, although. Who knows the Big Show is Paul White? We only know him as the Big Show.
The professor did. That's how I know how to pronounce it.
As an actor, he is now yet in another piece of cinematic brilliance, and we'll talk to the Big Show later on. Big Show is always great because we always throw in a question about the foreign object and its use in professional wrestling. You would have to say among fabled pieces of sporting equipment, where would the foreign object rank? We've run that by the Big Show, and it's up there with anything, right? Like a glove in baseball, a bat, which we could use some bats here in South Florida. Wow, what ugliness. Now, how can you scream about firing a manager? Who goes down first? The hitting coach? The hitting coach is usually the bats.
Did they already fire the hitting coach this year?
Did they? I don't know.
Yes, I think they've already gotten rid of a hitting coach. Like that's the problem. Is
they had Mike Pagliarulo there for a while, but he's long gone. Long gone.
They got rid of a guy. I think.
Who is the hitting coach of the Marlins?
That's I'm looking at it right now. It's a wonderful.
Bud Harrelson? No, he did he? I think Harrelson checked out. Right? Didn't he have cancer? He checked out a while ago. Bud Harrelson, the fabled light hitting shortstop of the New York Mets, was involved in that punching match there with Pete Rose at second base. One of the most one-sided fights in Major League Baseball history. An animal like Pete Rose attacking a poor guy that weighs 138 pounds soaking wet and was batting $186 for his career. The great Bud Harrelson. Good fielder, though. But the Marlins have not scored, I think it's 34 innings now. We had Jessica Blaylock on the show yesterday. And I know that they had been feeble against the Phillies in the 3 games before the All-Star break, but I didn't realize that they had this scoreless streak of innings going into yesterday's game, which they managed to maintain. They did a good job there.
Yep.
I mean, Blutarski-esque, 0.0, as they got clobbered 8-0 behind Pablo Lopez, who had a little shaky outing there. I think he gave up 5 runs in a relatively short stint, like 5 innings or so. Yep. But the team hasn't scored. You cannot win if you don't put a run on the board. It's impossible. Impossible, right? So what is this guy going to do to Don Mattingly? What is he supposed to do? Did he mismanage the game yesterday? They lose 8-0. That's 34 straight innings without a run. Can you imagine that? I don't know what the record is. I'm sure, it's probably well beyond that. But I remember this that Don Drysdale had the record forever, 56 and 2/3 scoreless innings consecutively.
Yeah,
and then it was broken by the Bulldog, Arl Hershiser, I think, snapped that record. While he was with the Dodgers, Tommy Lasorda was always extolling the virtues of Hershiser, who was a skinny waif-like type who didn't look like he was going to be an overwhelming power pitcher. And so Lasorda named him the Bulldog, nicknamed him the Bulldog, so that you would realize just how tough this guy was, Arl Hershiser. But that was the number of scoreless innings I remember, that streak that Drysdale had forever. I believe it was 56 and 2/3. Stood as a record for a long, long time. What is the record? Do we have any idea for consecutive scoreless innings by a baseball team's offense? And are the Marlins even in the territory there? You would have to think some crud ball team from years ago that was finishing like the 62 Mets might have been able to have established a record like that would be unbeatable for a long, long time. But 34 straight innings went on a run for the Marlins. I believe that was like a makeup game against the Rangers yesterday. That's why they were playing a 1 o'clock game. And they made it up on what would have been an off day for both teams. And the Marlins now, I think, hit the road for 2 series against Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. And it's not good. I mean, I hope they remember to take their bats with them. Maybe they should get rid of all of the bats that they have in the dugout. But
get new bats.
I mean, as much as we would like to root for this franchise to do something, it seems hopeless, doesn't it? Hopeless.
Seems
it's just nothing ever happens, in a positive way.
I think it's 48 innings.
48. Okay.
48 innings.
They're only 2 games away from infamy here.
They're not far from that. Let's not get there, Marlins.
Unbelievable. Yeah. 34 straight innings without a run. Wow. I mean, another listless outing yesterday. 4 hits in the ball game. They trailed 3-0 early, never raised a gallop. And as they say, such ugliness is happening right now. What does that put them? 6 games under 500?
Yeah. My problem is with Matt. Look, is it Mattingly?
500 is with wings on it right now, is it not, Lubie? It's just flying off the chart.
Look, do you really blame Mattingly? Probably not, but this isn't year 3 or 4 anymore. Like, he's had these kids a long time, and they were supposed to grow as hitters, and he was known as a consummate hitter, one of the great hitters.
They brought in veteran guys that were supposed to hit. Soler, Avisail Garcia. They brought in a couple of guys.
I know they spent some money, and those guys are doing nothing. So at some point, you fire GMs, you've got new owners, you've got new execs. And Mattingly's still there. I like Mattingly, and I don't really blame him, but they're going to do something. You're not going to not change something. Is it Ang? I mean, she just got here. How much of it is Ang's fault?
Well, I mean, she brought in 2 guys. Soler's hitting like 209, and Avisail Garcia, who was supposed to be, a guy that was going to advance the ability to score runs. I think he was hitting 220 the last time I checked, or something in that area. So your 2 big offseason acquisitions are, combined to average like 215.
Yeah.
That's not going to cut it on a team that doesn't have a lot of hitters. I mean, these were the guys that were brought in to bolster the lineup.
Yes.
And you lost Marte, of course, last year. He went to the A's and then subsequently ended up on the Mets. But, he was one legitimate Major League Baseball hitter that they had in the lineup, so somebody that was capable. I guess you could give Garrett Cooper. He's been slumping, I think, around the All-Star break, but at least he was hitting like 296 going into becoming an All-Star as an alternate after he got on the roster because of an injured player not being able to play. But, wow, it's fairly sad. I know, maybe I'm looking at the wrong number there. But if you don't have power stats and you can't hit for average, that's what you get, right? A long, long string of zeros. My God. 34 straight innings without a run. That's not exciting to go and see either. When your team just slowly gets drubbed like that. I watched a game like that when I was in Atlantic City. I put money on the Marlins to beat the Mets, and they did beat the Mets the subsequent night. Of course, I was on the wrong night, but they lost 10-0 in a very listless, lifeless, just uninspiring fashion in a game that I had money on them, and it was very similar to it was kind of a replica of what we saw, I guess, yesterday of that game, where, they just were never in it, never raised a gallop, never threatened, no rallies, nothing, didn't have guys on base, and went quietly away. So now, is that right? Is it 5 games under 500 or more? 6. Okay. 6 under 500. It looks to be unachievable. Yeah. And I don't know what the over-under number was this year. Was it 75, something along those lines? Was this, again, the drive for 75? It might have been higher. There were, believe it or not, greater expectations, Mr. Charles Dickens, for this Marlins team. And that, looks to be an aspiration that has been fueled largely by false hope. That's for sure. So another year, and it doesn't appear that they're on the threshold of any kind of a breakthrough, does it? I mean, who's coming up that's going to be very exciting?
Blade. They got to bring, supposedly Blade's coming up is imminent, like in the next week or so. Okay. He is a guy who's supposedly a power dude that they used the first round pick on, and he's been in the minors now 3 years. I guess he came out of high school, so when you come out of high school, it's a little different, but it's been 3 years. I mean, in minor league terms these days, that's unheard of. It's time.
I think they need to trade Alcantara before the break. I mean, the trade deadline. Just get rid of Sandy. Get him out of here.
One guy you can count on.
The one guy they have signed to a very favorable contract.
That's a great deal for years. That would be the Marlins.
We get like Juan Soto. Bring in a 240 hitter for about $400 million. That'd be great.
He'll never hit again.
I know. Unfortunately, it's very hard to stimulate a baseball conversation here in South Florida because there really is no baseball to talk about. Nothing. Zero. We tried yesterday with Jessica Blaylock. A lot of people that were on the chat line were saying, "Oh, well, she works for the team. She can't say what she really thinks." It's not like they're so awful. It's just nothing ever happens that makes you think that we're finally going to start spiraling into the right direction and slowly make an ascent into being contenders for a while. It just doesn't appear to be shaping up that way. And I don't know if this is a team, an organization that's just fueled by self-sabotage. Is it the curse of Jeffrey Loria? I'm not sure. What hovers over this team? Maybe what was that stadium actually built, the Orange Bowl, on some kind of Native American, graveyard that, is now haunted because they turned it into this ballpark here for a team that really nobody cares about?
It's like Poltergeist. The old lady.
I get a kick out of it, too. I mean, I was reading did the 76ers need a new arena that badly? I guess their lease is up where they're playing in 2031. So they've already vowed that they're going to, have the city fund a new arena. How many arenas do these teams need? I understand that, the Marlins were playing in a ballpark that was at best adequate and probably not favorable for them when they were playing at what is now Hard Rock Stadium. And it wasn't really a baseball stadium. That's true. I mean, it wasn't set up for baseball. It just wasn't. The seats were facing straight ahead. Yep. So if you're sitting behind first base, you were looking straight out at the outfield. you were like this, trying to see the pitch. And then if there were people in the aisle, you couldn't see home plate. That was obliterated. It wasn't the most comfortable ballpark to be in. If you're going to pay big money for a seat there, you would like to at least be able to see home plate, no? From a box seat along the rail, outside of first base, you're thinking that's a pretty good seat, usually pretty pricey. And, it was funny, too, because they also, I don't know what they did at Hard Rock Stadium, but they didn't believe in anybody that was over 5 feet tall. There's zero legroom there. You may as well. They could have taken the seats out. I'm surprised you don't see some Hard Rock Stadium seats like as row 33, A, B, and C on a Spirit Airlines flight. Because your knees are in your throat when you're sitting in these seats. Yeah. It wasn't the best baseball stadium. The stadium they built, fantastic for baseball, no question. Except, you don't see a lot of power hitting taking place because they decided to put the fences about 600 feet out there. I think the Polo Grounds dimensions were better in center field than the Marlins. So now that was like 601. Or something going out to center field. Although down the lines in the Polo Grounds was very much, you would have thought this would have been the case at Hard Rock Stadium. Remember at one time, Lubie, they wanted to play in the Orange Bowl. There was talk about converting the Orange Bowl, and the left field seats would have been about 220 out there. And that was kind of how it was at the Polo Grounds when the Mets played there the first couple of years. Went to a lot of games. And I think it was like 250 down the line.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, they had a player named Frank Thomas who was a good home run hitter with the Pittsburgh Pirates for many years, and he came to the Mets in the expansion draft, and he led them in home runs. But, it was a pop-up. You would see the shortstop, third baseman, and left fielder collide at the fence as they tried to gather in a shot there.
The shortstop and the third baseman.
Seriously, man. That's third baseman in the short side. I got it. Boom. Oh, wow. He hit the wall. Face first. Can you believe it? Felix Mantilla, he's bleeding.
That's classic.
Who was the shortstop? Was it Mantilla or Elio Chacon? Two of my favorite Met players and Met names of all time. All right. Many other things happen. I keep looking at these opening weekend lines for the NFL. They're featured very prominently here. And the Finns, 2.5 favorites over the Patriots in their opening game. What do the Patriots have? I mean, are they on the ascent? Are they just going to be like the fish shack there, even keel? Where are the Patriots at? Does Mac Jones take some quantum leap forward this year? Even though I thought he was very good. Did he tail off at the end of last year or something? Yeah.
Finally, the year, I believe, the second half, when they stopped letting him just sit back there, he became average. I mean, that's what he is. The guy can't move.
Yeah, he had that one stupid game when it was like 100-mile-an-hour winds. What was that, in Buffalo?
Yeah.
They threw like 3 passes the entire time. I think so. Did the Patriots win that game? They might have.
They probably did, the Patriots. But
it was kind of crazy, yeah.
But sort of man. Like, I don't.
I thought he was very good. I thought he acquitted himself real well in the preseason. I mean, he looked a lot better in the preseason than Tua did anytime during the regular season. And then early on, I thought he was the second coming of Tom Brady. I really did, Lubie. Am I wrong about that? You would insist that I'm absolutely insane to think that.
It's not about wrong. I mean, the guy's fine. He's not what all these people want him to be. I don't understand.
So you would rather have Tua Tagovailoa,
Mac Jones, yes,
than Mac Jones
in 2 years won't be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Like, the he's like a throwback to an era when the quarterbacks couldn't move. Like, Dan Marino moved better than Mac Jones. I mean, and their offensive line, they lost a lot on defense. Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson are gone. All those guys they brought in last year, the offensive weapons were not what they were supposed to be. They were once first-round pick, N'Keal Harry. They traded for like a 6th-round pick. Like, there's a reason people are putting the Dolphins automatically in the second spot in the AFC East. Like, and people think the Jets may
well, they should be better than the Jets and the Patriots. I mean, look what they did during the offseason. They traded their entire future to get Tyreek Hill and shore up their offensive line a little bit, which I think, that's been the quiet development that really hasn't been mentioned much, because so much focus is on the flaws of Tua Tagovailoa, or perceived flaws there, which, I mean, it's hard to argue that Tua is not the perfect quarterback at this stage of his career. Now, could he find a way to reel it in? Could he go Rich Gannon somehow? Is he the poor man's Rich Gannon? That was my question last year, all during the season, Lubie. And you took offense at that. You bristle at the mere suggestion that the best that he could be is the poor man's Rich Gannon. Which Gannon was kind of a journeyman guy for a long, long time, and then he finally got a shot there with the Raiders to distinguish himself, and he played pretty good ball, did he not? I mean, he was among the more efficient quarterbacks. Capable of sparking rallies and winning ball games and pulling them out in the clutch. And we haven't necessarily seen those qualities yet from Tua Tagovailoa. Can he come through when the times are not necessarily, going his way, when things are adverse? I mean, as we often talk about, that's really the mark of a champion. You see it in individual sports where, maybe Nadal doesn't have it in the second round and he's playing some schmenk ranked 150th, but the guy's on fire. And you see this all the time. It's very clear in tennis when you watch. I was watching a match yesterday. There's this guy from Italy named Fognini, and he's all right, but he doesn't win tournaments. He's not somebody that you're thinking is going to beat Djokovic, in a 3rd-round match. And I'm watching this guy play, and he loses in routine fashion in the second round of a tournament in Hamburg, Germany. And yet, watching just a couple of points, you're thinking, my God, this guy is sensational. Yeah. But, unfortunately, even when some of the better guys are not on their best stuff, they're able to beat people like that. I don't know. Can Tua come through in these kind of spots when maybe the team isn't going well and he can carry them once in a while? That's going to be interesting to see. It may be too early, too. I mean, have we been too critical of Tua Tagovailoa, or are we just stating the obvious here that he really doesn't have it?
I think he's been under some weird microscope that no one else has ever been under. He's had less talent than any quarterback I can remember being drafted. Guys, drafted in the top 5 usually have no talent. There's a reason you're getting drafted that high. And even then, they usually have someone like Andrew Luck had T.Y. Hilton. Like they have someone that you can count on to be their safety blanket. Like RG3 had some guys with Washington. Like Tua didn't have any of that. Like Devontae Parker, that 1 year, the second half of the season became it. So it's like, oh, cool, last year, he'll do it again. No. It was Devontae Parker again.
Like he's been wildly inconsistent.
Like he's never had anyone he can count on. The running game is a total freaking joke. The offensive line was literally the worst in football. Like, it's just, to me, when you compare that, people compare other teams' best with Tua. They're not comparing Josh Allen his first 2 years, or Justin Herbert the first half of the first year, or like Joe Burrow when he's been in games where he's struggled. No, it's Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl. Let's compare him to that. It's like, okay. Like,
Burrow looked like a punching bag his first year.
That's the thing. Yeah. No one compares him to that. What I find funny is, so we were like judging Kyler Murray. Where does he rank? Well, I guess the Cardinals think he ranks really high.
Wow. That was a blockbuster yesterday. Huh? I mean, that's all this acrimony about how Kyler Murray wanted out and he had taken himself off the social media, prints, that were put out by the Cardinals organization, any kind of, thing that they put out there publicity-wise. He didn't want any part of it. Social media, off, Facebook, this, that. And then they signed him for $50 million a year for 5 years.
And also, Tua's numbers, his first 2 years are very favorable to Kyler Murray's, by the way. And Kyler Murray was accepted right away because he ran around and he was fun. Tua's numbers are very close. Yeah. So that's what's funny to me is Tua, who's been horrible to everyone's esteem, even though he actually hasn't played 2 full seasons. Both seasons, he missed games with injury issues and whatever the hell. The first year wasn't even injury. They wanted Fitzpatrick to start over him. His numbers are actually favorable compared to Josh Allen and Kyler Murray.
It's hard to work for somebody that hates you. That's the question.
And then he had a coach that clearly didn't like it.
No, I mean, if your supervisor just never gives you credit for anything, really doesn't want you there in the first place, maybe they got stuck with you. I mean, we understand this from being in radio, right?
Our first boss.
New program director comes in, they really, you're not their guy. So, and then everything that you say, even though, the people may find it brilliant, they're in their office just cringing every time they turn the radio on, if they even bother. I mean, we had that feeling for 11 years when we were working at 940 Wins.
It wasn't even that. What do you mean? We had that in the beginning when you were open with me talking and we were getting a good vibe, even though our time slot moved 3 times in the first 6 months. Yeah. We were building steam. The PD literally came to you and said, don't let him talk.
Oh, to you? Yeah. No, he didn't want you to say a word. Yeah.
Give a shit, but it was just funny because it's like, dude, people are liking what we're doing. You've done everything you can to screw with us, and people are like what we're doing. Now you want to throw a monkey wrench, and you've given us nothing. Like, okay.
My favorite thing that came, and this guy was considered brilliant in the business, and actually was very nice to me. Although I don't know that we would have lasted long had he stuck around. The guy that hired us at the radio station. But his theory was, and it all got warped out by this rating system that came around, which I think proved to be as bogus as anything. And that was when, they tried to get more accurate radio ratings because the whole thing about filling out diaries, obviously, was not accurate. Who are they sending these diaries to? Who's actually filling them out? It was very Trumpian in terms of, you would look, and I guess over a period of time, you could have some idea about how you were doing, whether you ranked up there in terms of size of audience. But, it was impossible to think or conceive, and this would happen from one ratings book to the next, where you would either gain or lose half of your audience in 1 3-month period.
That doesn't happen.
Right, where you would have a 6 share of the audience in the winter book, and then the next one would come out, and a spring book, and you would have a 3 share.
Changed.
It's just not possible that half the people decided in a 3-month span that your show sucked and they didn't want to listen anymore. And then you come right back and get a 5.2 in the next book, and they would go, okay, yeah, you're all right. It's kind of like the price of gasoline hovering around $4.30. Still a hideous number. Yeah. Unthinkable, unfathomable, unaffordable, unbelievable, unjustifiable. And, yet now you're sitting there going, hey, look at that. Only $4.30, man. I think I'll top it off while I'm, outside here today. Unbelievable. But, it was impossible. And then it came with this thing where people wore a people meter.
Yes.
They wore like a little wristwatch or something that monitored what you were listening to on the radio. So if you jumped in an elevator and you were listening to, Life or whatever that channel is that plays the
Light
elevator
FM,
music.
Light FM.
Okay, and if the elevator got stuck, you got that station got credited with like an hour and a half of steady listening from some schmuck that in a million years would never turn this station on. Never. I mean, he couldn't wait to get out of the elevator. He was screaming. Trying to break through with an axe, anything to get out of here. Not because he was stuck in the elevator and worried about the supply of air, but because he couldn't stand listening to this music anymore. And they're getting the credit for it because you're wearing a little wristwatch. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I like when I used to send my mother, the
exactly
opportunity to be part of the ratings configuration because everybody wants to know what a 97-year-old Jewish woman from Germany is listening to on the. Does she listen to AM? I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, Vay. All right. Many things happening. We want to get to the professor, the big board, and then Lenn Robbins going to join us. Always a lot of fun talking to Lenn. We'll get a little scoop on what's going on in the Big Apple and other things around the world of sports. Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo going to join us later on the program. Dive into some food. How was this ice cream place?
Great.
How was it? Yeah.
Oh my God! It was a guy that they wouldn't name it, and I don't feel bad naming it because I think he had a big part in building Jackson's. He was, I guess, really close. He was at Jackson's years ago and then struck out on his own.
Yeah.
And Cleveland's old-fashioned ice cream in Miramar, amazing. Like the dude comes up with a lot of cool flavors. It's homemade, all of it. He has over 80 flavors at times. It was tremendous. And he's a great
80
guy.
Flavors, wow.
Yeah, his story is tremendous. He like goes back in the lab by himself, turns on reggae music. He's originally from Jamaica, been here for years, and like just will create stuff. And the stuff he came up with was amazing, man. And he was tremendous. Like he gave us the freaking thing, the big tray of ice.
One of those kitchen sinks.
He did like something like
kitchen sink. Wow.
He calls it something else. He has his own name, but he put it together for all of us, and it's on Instagram, by the way, at SoFly Live or at Lubie on air. The whole thing, just how he put it together, and then we put it on the table. And Nikki, what's great about Nikki is she's been on TV for years, and I guess she did food segments, so she's comfortable eating on air. She just goes. Like, you think mayo's bad? Nikki doesn't give a shit. Like, right in the middle of talking, she will eat whatever is.
But she does it with some kind of distinction,
Well, she
in class and a little bit of consideration towards common etiquette. Whereas Mayo just slobbers the stuff.
It's not Mayo or me.
I mean, he deliberately makes it as bad as he can make it. You know that.
She's clean, but it's just funny. She dives in, and then people are leaving. She's like, "How are you gonna not eat?" So like customers would come by and eat from our thing. Like it was just really fun. And then he asked before we left, he's like, "What do you guys want?" And he's just giving us ice cream. Like,
did you take like an ice cream cone out of there, a little pistachio?
Oh no, he gave us like a freaking thing, like a goddamn quart. He was giving each of us a quart of freaking ice cream.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
How many did you take? Yeah. Nothing like dropping that off in a hot car. Well, it came with freezer bags. Yeah. All right. So where was this? This was in Miramar, Florida. Okay. And what?
It was Miramar Parkway, just, I would say, between University and 441.
Okay.
Miramar Parkway.
It's a broad area there.
No? I know. It wasn't on really a cross street. It was just on Miramar Parkway. After you passed University, like 5 minutes east of University.
Oh, I think, Mike said it was like where the turnpike overpass is.
Yes.
Okay. I know that area there.
Miramar Parkway doesn't have a turnpike exit. I was going to say right around the turnpike, but Miramar Parkway doesn't have a turnpike exit. So it's like,
of course not.
441-ish,
Why would you put an exit on a major road that goes east and west when you're going north and south?
Your GPS. Everyone nowadays is GPS. Even Defo, I've shown how to use GPS. It's worth it. Like, you want some ice cream, they do a really good job.
No, I'm pretty sure I know where it is. The area you described. There was kind of like like a strip mall of sorts there, and I believe that we had to deal with a sports bar there that was run by some people that were connected very much so to some of the major New York families, and it was always interesting to go in there and try and get a check. Hey, you see this guy wants us to give money for what? Right? I mean, that's kind of how it went. They were always kidding. They're big ball busters in there. Actually, it was a very good client of ours. But nonetheless, it was a little difficult when we told them that we had to leave even though they enjoyed us there, somehow we had ended up with a conflict with another sports bar that was nearby in the area, and we had to, honor the deal that we had. And so, to not infringe on, it sounds a little dumb. You're saying this is the best place to get chicken wings, and then two blocks down the street, you're saying that place is the best place to get chicken wings, whatever. So it seemed conflicting, and it was very difficult to go in there and explain it to those guys that we had to bow out. Can you imagine? Usually it's the other way around, right? They're throwing you out in the street there, bloodied and bludgeoned. A couple of kicks in the balls there, just for emphasis there, so you never want to come back.
That's funny.
I know it's for Louie, huh? Like, oh, okay, great. Why don't you do it again? But yeah, I know it was in that area there. I don't think it's been out of business for a long time, but I used to go there quite frequently. And so this ice cream place that you're saying is an A+. And
yes, it's great. They do a great job. Yeah.
Very nice, man. A lot of innovative ice cream places here, right? A lot of innovative ice cream places. Miramar has been a big, focus of these Lauderdale Deals things that Mayo's been doing. Kind of good.
Oh, nice places.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily think of Miramar as a destination for fine dining, but turns out to be okay. My former hometown. All right, we're coming back with more. The professor going to join us here with the big board and other things, and also Lenn Robbins from New York. The New York Post, many years as a basketball writer and football writer for college basketball and football columnist as well. And then he was with the New York Extra, and now he's with Bet Basics.
Yes.
Which, let's face it, everybody's gambling, and Lenn fits the bill there as a Degenerate Brethren member. So we'll talk to Lenn Robbins and then the Gambling Gourmet later on in the program. I'm Jeff DeForest. He is Mike Lubie. Lubit's Hialeah Park. If you want to do some gambling, man, wow. The toga action is great. Even if chalk is prevailing, I don't know if it's the majority races. I would have to say, most of the races have been won by short-priced horses. I believe that to be true. I may be not following it every day, but I kind of look at the results every day, and it seems like a lot of favorites are coming in, or short-priced horses. But nonetheless, if you're punching and you want to get that feel of Saratoga, go to Hialeah Park. I mean, it really gives you the whole atmosphere. You're looking out at a beautiful racetrack. Out the back there, you see the old saddling ring and the grounds there with the citation statue. I love the old scoreboard there, still intact at Hialeah Park. And, while there may not be action actually on the track, you get that whole vibe going as you're watching and punching away on Saratoga and this beautiful atmosphere. Great food and drink all over the place. And they'll send up food to the champion simulcasting room from anywhere, right? Lubie wants a pheasant under glass, and the next thing you know, there's a guy there with a glass thing, taking it off, going, I hope the pheasant is to your satisfaction, Mr. Lubitz. Just incredible, the great service that you get at Hialeah Park. Poker room's dynamite. Casino is always rocking. The Royal Reels slot machines have been paying huge jackpots, $80,000, $90,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars going out the door there. I think they tracked it. They paid out like $6 million in jackpots in June. Which, nice to get a piece of that pie. And you can get it with some freebie play just by getting a player's card when you come in the door. Very generous rewards program at Hialeah Park, maybe among the best anywhere in the country or around the world when it comes to casino play and the rewards program. So they always make sure that they take care of their customers and the people that come back. Just use your card, and the next thing you know, you might have a free night of gambling, man, which that's my favorite circumstance to operate under, right? Other people's money while gambling. Just a sensational thing. Hialeah Park. They make it all happen for you, and always going to be a good time. Check out the website for special events, hialeahpark.com, and make your plans to pay a visit to beautiful Hialeah Park. Open till 5 a.m. now, Friday and Saturday night on a weekend, so that's always a good thing, too. Plenty of time to get in action. All right, back with the professor and the big board in a moment. Now that.
The time!
And he says if Julian gets hit by a bus, we'd lose 50% of our audience.
Don't get hit by a bus.
That's all right. Don't cross the street, Julian. We need you. It's 7:38.
Hey, folks. Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Professor, and we've talked about this a few times in recent weeks because there's been rampant speculation all over the place about what would happen with college football this year, but it does look like there's going to be an attempt in spite of the fact that entire campuses are getting wiped out by COVID-19 positive tests.
I think what you've seen is definitive proof that at least in SEC states, college football is in fact more important than your life.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
Very astute observation by the professor, and welcome back to the show, the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie-Lubitz. We bring in the professor here on a Degenerate Friday, and it was interesting to me yesterday. I know you're a giant fan of college football. What do you think of the new love fest, Jimbo and Nick? This publicly stated mutual respect they now have for each other. Professor, how are you, my friend?
It's like the public love fest between Lubie and I. There's
shallow,
very
baseless.
There's very little basis to claim anything of it's real. So, I mean, you're talking about that PD that told you stop letting Lubie talk. I told you that like the first 5 times I met him.
Yeah. They wanted me to deliver the message, though. They wanted me to be the bad guy, right? I mean, the guy that got him going, and then I'm supposed to go into the production room just subtly and say, "Hey, Lubie, shut off your microphone and never turn it back on."
Yeah, well, sometimes you should take a hint, right? Because the first time I met Lubie, we are calling a high school football game down here. Yeah. And I think it was the game started with something like 7 consecutive turnovers.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about like spectacular, the guy catches a screen pass in the flat and gets blasted the ball. I'm talking about turnovers like they dropped the snap.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, maybe I should have taken a hit. Maybe you should have taken a hit from the. No, I obviously.
That's your bad.
Like if Jimbo and Nick want to get along, great. They can both burn in hell as far as I'm concerned. They got things, in common. Obviously, both from West Virginia, I think originally. Obviously, Southern football coaches. Both their wives enjoy sleeping with former Gator players. I think in Nick's case, I'm actually making that up.
I mean, that happened.
She enjoys sleeping with former Gator students, and it's Jimbo's. But no, I'm teasing. Only Jimbo's wife likes to have affairs with former Gator players.
With former Gator players. All right. Makes some sense there. Maybe she was just using it as a spy technique to find out what the Gator game plan was before they played FSU when Jimbo was there. What do you make of that game? I mean, that's what, October 10th? Is that right?
I don't make anything of that game. What do I make of that game? I make Alabama winning by 21 in that game.
Okay. You don't think Texas A&M, with all of the money they spent on recruits, will be able to be competitive at that level?
I mean, I think, look, every once in a while something's going to pop up, but I think in general, if you're picking anybody to be consistently competitive with Alabama, it's a fool's errand. I mean, one of the things we talk about when we talk about SEC dominance is it's kind of a false flag. It's Alabama dominance, because I want to say the number I saw last year at one point was they had won their last, was it 30? It was over like a 5 or 6 year period by an average of 17.5 points a game. It's not like the SEC in general actually competes with Alabama. When LSU had Joe Burrow in one of the greatest collections of all time, they competed. Georgia probably is capable of competing, although we haven't seen a lot of that evidenced in the regular season. But it's not like the rank and file SEC are going out and giving Alabama tough games. No, they go giving Alabama loss. It's what's made Alabama under Saban a fantastic gambling team is the fact that, when they play the SEC, they generally stomp the SEC.
You have been an advocate of going ahead and laying large amounts of points with Alabama in the past on certain games.
Yeah, because they win by large amounts of points.
Yeah, very successful. Kirby Smart gets $112 million 10-year contract, according to reports. Newt Rockne is rolling over in his grave. I mean,
5 seconds after he says he doesn't think it's right that players can make up to $10,000 a month, he signs a contract for like $1 million a month. Yeah, okay, Kirby.
Imagine that.
You jerk off. I don't hate on coaches who perform making huge dollars. Like, honestly, nobody really knows what Nick Saban actually makes when you total up all the side deals and endorsements and booster clubs. But honestly, if Nick Saban makes $50 million a year, I don't care. He's probably worth it. Kirby Smart has done an amazing job at Georgia. Whatever he's making, God bless him. He's done an amazing job. But why do you want to be the coach who comes out and hates on what your player's making? What kind of idiot are you, number one?
Yeah.
Because it's not helping anything. And number two, if that's really your moral stance, like I don't think college football players should make this, then what the hell are you doing signing a $100 million contract? What are you're not splitting the atom. You're, building the second biggest program in the SEC, which, again, congratulations. You've done a fantastic job. And value added, you probably deserve $10 million a year. You probably deserve, but in terms of like the bigger picture, you're not improving humanity. You're not finding new fuel sources or things that are going to matter 100 years from now. You're a college football coach.
What happens to the ACC, Professor? What do you see on the horizon there? There was a statement from the commissioner of the ACC that I don't know, man. Anything goes. I'm open to anything.
I see, like 2 years from now, Dabo Swinney perhaps testifying before some group, not saying Congress, and breaking out to Samuel Jackson, going, "Yeah, I shot him, and I hope they burn in hell."
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, the ACC's going away. I mean, I don't know exactly what form it's going to take. I don't know if we're going to look at is the migration of. I've heard some 2 teams. I've heard 4 teams going to the SEC. I've heard between 2 and 4 teams going to the Big Ten. I don't know if that's going to lead with some sort of mutant basketball league that features Duke and Virginia and schools that nobody cares about their football team. I mean, I don't know. Is it in theory? It could become like a Big East situation where these schools either drop down or I don't think they're dropping down in terms of football, but form, a very viable basketball league that plays very terrible football. And, in the case of the Big East, they don't even bother playing football anymore.
You got rid of it.
What happens when the Saudis start to invest in college football in the United States? There'll be a lot of defections.
When the Saudis form their college football tour, I'm going to start looking for dudes with swords hanging out by my front yard because I got a feeling some of the things I have to say about college football coaches, I'm going to be in trouble. To get that Saudi prince behind the league, we're going to have problems.
Khashoggi would look like he was just mildly comedic to these guys compared to you.
Right.
With your comments on college football.
And the Live Tour. He probably wouldn't be very entertained by that.
They signed a couple of more has-beens, right? Charles Howell III, I don't think has won a tournament in 4 years. He's like 40-something years old. He looks like he needs a sandwiches when he wakes up in the morning. And,
I've heard these comments about the Live Tour that it's not going to – who was it came out and said, get ready for it, PGA, because we're not going here. Like the 2 big signings – one big signing and one big rumor this week are announcers for a golf tour that as far as I can tell aren't on TV.
Yeah.
I mean – number one, I know you have developed a taste for betting golf, so maybe you're watching the Greater Milwaukee Open. I don't know how often these pools are taking place.
There's no pool on this week's tournament there. I would have had Tony Finau for sure.
No, look, if you enjoy it, I'm not hating on it. that's cool. I'm just saying, me as a very casual golf fan, I'm not even watching the TPC, much less, the Memorial and some of these other tournaments that may face in the future, or Doral, or I don't watch these golf tournaments on television, so I'm not going to watch the Live Tour on television. As long as it doesn't mess with the majors, it really has no impact on me. I just don't necessarily understand how much are minor golf tournaments worth that they're throwing out these dollars, and now they're throwing out these dollars to announcers. I will say, because I didn't know the structure of this,
I'm in favor of that in general.
Well, obvious.
Yeah.
If Charles Barkley actually does leave the NBA to become a golf live tour, that's when I'm going to get pissed off, because Charles Barkley is the only watchable thing about the NBA's regular season. If he leaves that Thursday night crew, I'm going to be upset about that. Then I'm going to be like, screw you, Saudis. I'm gonna buy an electric car.
He threw it out there. That's for sure. I mean,
and whether that's just to
get some more cash out of the people he's dealing with now.
Get a raise from TNT, or
making $10 million a year for the TNT broadcast.
I love Barkley, but is he really gonna make it as a full-time golf announcer? That doesn't really seem all that realistic to me.
That putt was terrible. Unbelievable. No, I knew a lousy Barkley, but it'll be interesting to see. You're right about that, though. They don't even have a TV deal, and they're anticipating maybe getting one. They've already hired Faraday away from NBC,
right?
And they're looking at getting Charles Barkley, to add like a comedic element to the whole thing.
Like in the immediate, what are you going to do with Faraday? Is he going to stand in the parking lot with a megaphone and
he'll be out there with Martha Burke outside?
He's actually going to come. He's actually going to come sit next to you and do a whole worth of announcing.
It could be. He just becomes your personal announcer because you're the one guy watching.
I'm assuming they have an internet broadcast or something. But in the immediate, that's what I picture is Faraday just going down and sitting next stand to stand and being like, oh, he's got this putt here. Looks like it's going to break to the right.
Yeah, he may even be interviewing a guy while he's putting. I mean, maybe they go to some kind of innovation like that to enhance the whole idea that they're bringing you into the game while you're.
I don't actually think that would be any good, because most of these guys are not interesting people. Do you really want to talk to Dustin Johnson or Bryson DeChambeau? It doesn't seem like that would be that much fun of an experience.
No, not like the pitcher there, Cortez, is it, from the Yankees, who was mic'd up during the All-Star game? And, he made it a lot of fun to have that aspect in play on a broadcast. All right, anything else on your mind? I know I threw you into this college football stuff, Professor. Did you have anything else?
No, that's I mean, it's the silly zone.
Mergers, Pac-12, Big 12, what happens? Does that all crumble?
I assume Oregon and Washington, I would think, would have some appeal to the Big Ten. Although I know the Big Ten can be very about their academic status. They have been in the past. Yeah. So I don't know if they necessarily fit that profile. I'm not familiar. I think Washington's known as a good school. I don't know.
Both are good schools. I mean, Oregon's
I don't know what Oregon is known like academically. But it's what we've talked about in the past. How appealing are the leftovers of the Big 12 and the Pac-12 to a television? It's honestly, it's the same thing with the ACC. I think it's fair to assume if Clemson's not already gone, essentially, that they are very seriously in negotiations for the SEC. And they'll probably take, I would assume they take at least one buddy. A lot of people think it's going to be FSU. You get into the leftovers of these conference, what's the television appeal? Am I going to watch Georgia Tech play Colorado at, midnight on Saturday? Yes. Yeah. Is anybody else going to be watching it with me? Yeah. Probably not. I don't know how much. Small television market schools that are not traditional powerhouses. Could you get a situation where once every few years one of these schools has an exciting team? Of course, that happens already. Yeah. But it can be a consistent year in, year out thing that's going to lead to television draw. It's hard to picture it happening, particularly as the economics continue to become more and more unfriendly, because the SEC and the Big Ten are eating up all the money.
Notre
what's
Dame.
The future?
What happens with Notre Dame?
Big Ten.
Notre Dame's their own thing. I know they're currently trying to raise money.
75 million. They get 75 million from NBC, and they're good to go. They say
they're trying to raise. I don't think in the long term the independent thing works for Notre Dame, because I feel like if Notre Dame through this pressure sticks it out, you'll get to the point where the SEC and Big Ten schools start freezing them out, where they're like, we used to need you for the money and the ratings. We don't need you for that anymore. So screw you. We're not going to play you anymore. Have fun playing the dregs of the other conferences every week. And let's see how NBC feels about that when they get a schedule that has you playing the service academies and, I don't know, TCU and Oregon State.
And the leftovers.
Because that's the thing. Not only are the quality teams going to be in these leagues, but all Notre Dame's like traditional rivals are going to be in these leagues. And it is, I think you could get to a point where the economic pressure is such that these schools start saying, hey, sorry, we can't play anymore. We're making too much money with this conference, and they don't want you playing us anymore. So I think
we wouldn't play you Christian bleep suckers for all the money in the world, after you destroyed us all of those years. Get the bleep out of here.
Well, I mean,
I could see that.
That's why Miami supposedly is an SEC bound, is because Florida, like 30 years and a lot of success later, is so bitter about Miami beating up Emmitt Smith and Kerwin Bell in the 80s. So, would I put it past some of those programs? Absolutely not. I mean, again, you don't need Notre Dame anymore. I mean, that was the thing at one point in the not too distant past. You needed Notre Dame for ratings and money. Turns out you kind of don't, because everybody will turn in to watch you whip Vandy's ass every week anyway, because that's just sort of how the sport functions.
All right, you ready to flip the switch here, Professor?
And,
get to the big board.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have any plays? You don't have any play. Right? You're not doing baseball.
What are you doing? The WNBA? First
I'm betting the WNBA. I'm betting Major League Baseball and the WNBA. I loaded up on the.
I could see you at home going, "Fuck you, Tarasi." As the dogs start barking.
No way.
After she misses a 3, unbelievable.
Now again, the problem with the WNBA is if I bet on it, I have to watch it.
Yes.
And I really don't want to do that. Look, there are people who have the bug. I think you're familiar with that, Defo. I'm one of these people. I go hard enough during the months where there are good sports, and then the last few years I start inventing things to watch, like the USFL, which I somehow got really into.
Korean baseball,
which I got super into. Then, like, when you get to this point where it's sort of a month off, I actually kind of enjoy my month off, and I don't feel pressured to start getting into stuff I'm not actually into. So
that's some serious discipline there, Professor, that
I don't really
many of us don't have.
I'm not saying I won't go dabble at a casino or some other places. I mean, but there's lots of places to get action. Lately I've been going in and buying like $500 worth of lottery scratchers. And no, I'm kidding.
A good friend of ours, who a fabled restaurateur in South Florida, the great Dave B, scratch off ticket 10 dimes. Unbelievable.
Oh, nice, good friend.
And when I thought about that,
Dave B has some ridiculous luck factor.
He does, yes,
involved in all sorts of screwy
gambling
stuff. I have seen Dave B like barely able to walk to the B-mobile.
Yeah.
And then I'll see him 4 hours later where he can't even speak because like he seems so blotto off of what is it he drinks? Is it Miller Lite? Whatever.
Whatever he drinks a lot of
it.
He
drinks like 30 of them.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, how'd you do? Oh, whatever, Palmetto Park, and played poker, won $4,000. It's like, how did you even see the cards?
He hit like some slot over there for like $50,000 with the
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you got the luck, it's not
serendipitous luck.
A bad play.
Dave B and the Greek are the two luckiest guys that I know when it comes to this sort of thing. Where you're thinking this stumble bum should be like Leonard Toews. I mean, he should be suing the casino for allowing him to gamble in that condition.
Right.
And, having, whatever, they had to do with, getting him to that point of being drunk out of his mind with the free drinks. And, he ends up winning, unlike Toews. he's very prosperous. But a scratch-off ticket, I mean, and then you would think for a second, because it's such a ripoff, this whole lottery thing, with the 50% takeout by the state, which no one can overcome those odds. That you're thinking, oh well, he just won 10,000. Maybe I'll buy some scratch-off tickets. But I'm thinking that was the one scratch-off ticket in the state that DeSantis released that actually had winning possibilities. So any other purchase of scratch-off tickets for the next 6 months would be useless.
I would assume, given the way DeSantis functions, that any winner, like 50% immediately goes to his campaign reelection. when they threw out that stat, the ridiculous amount of money he's raised, I think it's 150 or 200
the people
million
love him,
whatever.
Yeah.
I honestly, legitimately assumed that like a certain percentage of those scratchers were immediately going to DeSantis for America.
There'll still be people telling you that Trump is the man, even after I mean, how much more can they put in front of you about what a bozoic choice this was to run our country? And even if he did some good things, I mean, just the 3 takes alone to denounce the election. Where I don't know if you're watching it that last night, but it was very Lubie-esque. I mean, it really was.
I cannot make myself watch the January 6th hearings. Instead. I was watching a video compilation of circus bears attacking people, which is a thing that apparently happens all across the world. Like,
it happens, yeah.
Who knew that lions were actually the well-behaved animals? Because, like, a lion does maul like a circus guy like once every decade or so.
Right, man.
But apparently with these bears, it's like a regular occurrence.
Yeah.
They keep doing it.
Some days you eat the bear, some days the bear eats you, unless you're a circus worker, in which case the bear eats you like 4 times a week. Yeah.
More dangerous, being a circus animal caretaker or deckhand on Deadliest Catch. What do you think? You like to fish, right? I mean,
I like to fish. I don't like Deadliest Catch.
You don't like it? I just like the conditions that these guys are operating under.
I feel like that's one of those shows that came out, a decade ago or however long, and it's kind of lived past its prime.
Oh, it's the same show every time, yeah.
Speaking of which, in terms of long shots, and we were discussing this the other day, PC and I, in terms of sports long shots, if you could have gone back in time and made a bet, who would have bet? I think this is the most unlikely thing in sports in the last couple decades. Who would have bet that Frank Thomas is impotent and so he has to take fake steroids from GNC commercials would have lasted for like 15 years? For like 15 years, Frank Thomas would go on TV. Yeah. And this product would sell well enough that I don't know if you watch any daytime TV or live sports, but these commercials bomb the airwaves. Who the hell would have thought that product was going to last for 15 years of Frank Thomas, who wasn't like the most commercially popular guy during his playing days, talking about, and if you're having problems in the bedroom, she's going to like it too. Who the hell would have thought that commercial would last for like 15 years? It's like the most unlikely dynasty in sports history.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Larger, more impossible proposition bet to have hit, though, was that Bruce Jenner was going to eventually be a woman. If you bet that coming out of the Olympics, no chance.
I think that was much more foreseeable than Frank Thomas.
Every guy wanted to be Jenner. Every guy.
Yeah, he's impotent for like a decade and a half.
Yeah, I don't know, man. After watching Bruce with the little flag there, like he was George Foreman running around the track, I never in my lifetime, even after we had him on our show, the Trivia Challenge, one time, when I was doing a show out of Disney World, and I was a little bit wasted, and they brought Jenner over. In a million years, I could have never anticipated him becoming a woman. Never. That would have been as far-fetched as anything you could have put on the prop board. All right, let's get to the big board here. The professor with us on the Defo Show. Yes.
Well, Defo, we are in, for me, the sports dead zone.
Yes.
And there's a lot of debate among people about what the true quote-unquote sports dead zone is. Baseball people who still love Major League Baseball, a.k.a. people who are not Florida Marlins fans or Miami Marlins fans. Right? I'm never going to get used to that change.
No.
We'll tell you that the sports dead zone is that spot after the Super Bowl and before the NCAA tournament, where all you've got is regular season college basketball and the NBA. I think it's this time of year where all you have is Major League Baseball. And this week specifically is the biggest sports hole in America. It is the only time where you don't have either Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA, or the NHL playing is the day before and the day after the All-Star game. And that leads to my least favorite week in sports, and more specifically, my least favorite specific moment in sports, and that is the dumbest night of the year, the ESPYs.
Oh, that's a fantastic.
I don't know who at ESPN
subject.
thought this up. Who at ESPN was sitting around the boardroom and was like, you know what? People who love sports and love live sports really also love award shows.
Yes.
Our audience is clamoring for more awards shows. So that's how we're going to fill the hole, is by creating, and not just an award show, but the worst award show, the dumbest award show. So that will be the subject
I'm with you. Yeah.
of the big board.
They're stupid.
The dumbest night in sports, the ESPYs.
Excellent choice. All right, here we go.
Number 5, Defo, and there's a long-running history of this, but we've cited some highlights, and that is the dumbest things about the ESPYs. Number 5 dumbest thing is a really long-running series of questionable choices about who's going to host.
Yes.
Did you know that Tony Danza once hosted the ESPYs?
Did he? Yeah, look at that.
And this was like in the mid to late 90s. This wasn't like peak Tony Danza. They weren't running the ESPYs back when Taxi was on. They weren't running the ESPYs even when Who's the Boss was around. Like a good 5 years after Who's the Boss ended, somebody at ESPN was like, you know who would be a great host for our show? Tony Danza.
Well, he used to box, right?
And then in the early 2000s, they broke out Jeff Foxworthy.
Yeah, 15 years after he was popular.
Yeah.
Do you remember when America really loved Jeff Foxworthy?
Yes.
Neither do I.
Neither do I.
And then to me,
he was hot for a while for some reason with the country, corn.
If you like giving an NIL deal to a college football player, you might be a redneck. I never understood the whole appeal of that the blue collar comedy tour, and I didn't even think he was one of the particularly funny ones on the blue comedy college tour. He wasn't like Larry the Cable Guy level low, but he was solidly in the middle there. He wasn't the highlight of that, and ESPYs tagged him to make a choice to host the ESPYs, which is an event I think is always held in California. So it wasn't like they were trying to appeal to the local audience.
No.
And then finally, I think the worst one of all, in 2005, for some reason, I don't know what the hell was going on in 2005. If everybody even slightly related to sports was sick for some reason in 2005, they had Matthew Perry host the ESPYs. Which I don't know if Friends was still on the air in 2005. If it was,
I think that's when it ended.
It was seriously like on the downhill slope of it. But Matthew Perry is number 1, the least funny, and number 2, the least athletic member of the cast of Friends. So what the hell are you like? Honestly, if I had to pick between him and David Schwimmer to win an MMA fight, I'm going Schwimmer, and he doesn't look like a particularly tough guy.
No.
If I have to
minus 350 on Schwimmer.
Yeah, if I have to pick between Jennifer Aniston and Matthew Perry in a game of pickup basketball, I'm going Aniston all the way.
Yeah. She can dribble.
What the hell is Matthew Perry doing hosting a sports show? And I don't even think I think he might be Canadian. It's not like he's this prominent sports fan. You don't think of he's not like a Spike Lee or a Jack Nicholson in terms of you immediately associate with the teams. Maybe he's like, I don't know, a super well-known Winnipeg Jets fan, but
Rachel Nichols would have been more appropriate.
Right?
That's for
what
sure.
The hell who the hell made that pick?
Yeah, even after she left the network, they could have put Nichols up there.
There's been some questionable ones of recent note, but man, the ESPY host choices through the years.
Yeah, pretty
not
lame.
good.
Excellent start. Yeah. Host choices, ESPYs, and you're right. I when did it even air? I mean, did they slip it in there when I fell asleep on
I have
Sunday
no
night
idea.
or something?
Maybe
I see highlights from it. I don't remember the show being on the air.
Maybe they've moved it to like ESPN News or one of the ESPNs that nobody ever actually watches.
Shoveled it on Discovery Channel or something. All right, that's number 5 on a big board of the worst night, dumbest night in sports viewing, the ESPYs. Dumb skits. Go, good.
And that takes us to number 4, the dumb skits that they do every year.
Yeah.
Comedy that isn't funny, sports parodies that are just make you feel like an idiot for watching sports. And the little moment, of course, Justin Timberlake pretending black athletes actually enjoy performing in Boston. You can see here that they couldn't even get black Celtics players to admit they're Celtics, so they have to dress them up like puppets.
Puppets, yeah.
To perform with Justin Timberlake on the ESPYs. And as always, there's something weird about men who are comfortable with puppets. Like, I don't know about you.
Scary.
But puppets always freak me out. People who have puppets, they've always weirded me. Like, I know there's a very popular comedy show in Vegas. There's a guy who does puppets all the time, the Terry Fader. He's been at the Mirage for like 1,000 years. Like, keep me away from puppets and puppet people. I don't know what it is about puppets, but I want nothing to do with them.
Yeah, it's understandable. That was one of Polyman's big fears was, as you get older, you have a tendency to develop puppet mouth, and that's always an oddball condition that usually means that this person is not particularly happy with life in general.
This is my only acceptable use for puppets is if you're in a bad relationship and you don't know how to break up, the next time you're on a date, put a puppet in the front seat while you're picking her up. When she comes out to the car, be like, "Oh, I hope you don't mind. Frank is coming with us tonight."
Yeah, we were going to be a threesome tonight, there, sweetheart.
And they just keep it up throughout the entire run of the date. When the waiter comes, like, "I'll have the spaghetti with the puppet." Like,
not exactly Ronan Martin, you're saying. All right, very good.
No,
number
I'm just
4.
saying, if a woman is willing to put up with puppets, like. She's all in, and you need to make alternate plans, maybe fake your own death.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if I showed up and a woman had a puppet with her, I'm immediately leaving.
Strangled by a puppet. Not a good way to go out.
Here's a 50 for my half. Never call me again.
All right, I'm with you
and
there.
Honestly,
on
if it was
number 4.
a puppet in a Celtics uniform, it's 10 times worse.
There's no stopping him. The professor. Here with the big board, the ESPYs dumbest night in sports viewing, fueled by Black Monday, Black Wednesday, when there's no betting action. All right, that's number 4 on the big board. Dumb skits on the
number
ESPYs.
3. You sort of, I'm not gonna lie, you sort of asked backwards your way into a preview here. Number 3, the Courage Award featuring Caitlyn Jenner.
I'm amazed that's only number 3. I mean, never mind the Jenner thing, the whole thing in general.
This is always like the highlight of the ESPYs. It's where all the feature moments of the ESPYs. And I don't really approve of all of them. The Valvano speech, which is the one they can't beat to death. I got nothing against the Valvano speech. I have a huge problem that you let Coach Ratface try to appear like a human being after he had stabbed Valvano in the back like 30 times during their career. But after he gets cancer, you get Ratface like holding him down, like walking him down the aisle of the ESPYs. So I have a big problem with that because you let Ratface try to humanize himself during that speech. There's been a few others through the years. I won't necessarily mention them because it makes me seem like a monster. But I think everybody agreed that the Courage Award bottomed out with Caitlyn Jenner. Honestly.
It was weak.
Caitlyn Jenner's the strangest human being on earth, and I don't say that from a transphobic point of view. I feel like even other transgender people are like, "Oh yeah, that's a strange cat there," because you're a trans woman, but you're also like this hardcore religious Republican who approves of all these anti-gay bills and all these anti-women. But so you wanted to be a woman. But you also want to vote to take all female rights away as much as you possibly can. And you're like a religious family values person who raised the worst family in the history of America.
Exactly.
Who raised a family where your one daughter got famous because she did a porn tape.
Yeah.
Who your former wife got rich because she promoted that porn tape that your daughter was starring in. I mean, I don't know, but like I can't feel like there's anybody who embraces Caitlyn Jenner at this point.
No. That's why she's gone.
The Courage Award thing. I mean, they couldn't have found somebody. Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's a very sensitive topic. The whole thing. But,
I don't think it's that sensitive. Again, I don't think there's anybody out there, any group, including the groups that she is a member of, that are like Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah, she's literally.
They love her on The View. They love her on The View, I think. Oh, no, they hate her on The View because of reviews.
Because she's like a hardcore Republican. She's the weirdest person on earth.
Confusion, though, might be an element that's in play there. I mean, that's entirely possible. Not that I'm a shrink or anything.
You think that confusion is part of the element in play here? It's an excellent diagnosis, Dr. DeForest.
Confusion is my middle name. What are you talking about?
Caitlyn Jenner might be a little confused. Yeah.
That's number 3. The Courage Award, Caitlyn Jenner used as the example. There are probably others that also would fit the bill. But as you said, Professor, not wanting to appear overwhelmingly monstrous in your opinion.
No, there's some other moments of the Courage Award that I have not been a fan of. But I think everybody understands this was the low point of the Courage Award.
No, that was it. It was very debatable. All right, that's number 3, the big board, the worst night in television viewing the ESPYs.
And number 2 is both the greatest and the worst night in ESPYs history, and we're going to familiarize you with it here, and that is the Michelle Beadle night at the 2011 ESPYs.
What happened to her, man? She disappeared completely.
I can tell you exactly what happened to her. Yeah. At the 2000 ESPYs, she got ragingly drunk. She propositioned Aaron Rodgers in the most profane way possible.
Nice.
And then after Aaron Rodgers rejected her, she went home with Clay Matthews instead. And this incident has haunted her for years. She has publicly denied it. She's talked about it in interviews a couple of times and said the internet was out to get her, to which the internet responded by producing people who had seen her do it. And producing the fact that ESPN had pulled her into an interview to ask her about her conduct that night. Presumably, the Green Bay Packers also probably pulled her in that night to have an interview about her conduct.
As she slept with their whole offensive line?
For those, no, tried to sleep with the quarterback who turned her down, and then did sleep with their star pass rusher.
Right, okay.
And if you look at the trajectory of her career, pretty much afterwards, this is where they started sticking Michelle Beadle on absolutely the worst shows ESPN has ever produced in terms of actual sports media coverage.
Virtually all of them, yes, including a failed effort there on a show that continued, I guess, to have whatever level of success they need to satisfy its continuance on the air. This Get Up show with Mike Greenberg, which is one of Lubie's favorite type of sports shows because it's debating nonsensical, made-up, and ridiculous issues.
That actually does sound exactly like a Lubie hosted show.
Yeah, I mean, who's under more pressure this year, Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, exactly.
Over the Adams situation.
That doesn't sound exactly like a situation Lubie would find himself right in the middle of.
That's got to be Carr.
I think I've cared about the shows in a long time.
I could hear him saying it.
You guys ruined them for me.
All right, any more on the Beatle night? The Beatle night, I mean, obviously a disgrace, but as you said, 2000.
It's both the greatest and the worst moment in ESPY's history. Michelle Beadle getting blank-faced drunk and propositioning the entire Green Bay Packers. I won't say on air what she told Aaron Rodgers, but let's say she made it very clear that she was just there to catch a certain male body part.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was unfortunate, I'm sure, in terms of her public image, but her career really blossomed after that to the point where she actually benefited from what would be my favorite situation, which is signing a long-term contract for a lot of money and getting fired like the first day.
Yeah, I don't disagree that you would view that as an optimum situation. But I don't necessarily think everybody, like, I think when Bob Costas goes back to your beloved Syracuse to teach a class in journalism, that's not a strategy he's advocating.
No,
I think Bob Costas is going the other way, hang to grim death to every on-air position you can ever have. Even if you have a case of pink eye so bad that your swollen, grotesque red eyeball is hanging out of the air during the middle of the Olympics, go on TV every night, every way, till the point where you make America physically ill.
That's more gold for the United States. That gives him 17. No, he was always very polished, though. And of course, I think he was in a class behind me at Syracuse, but I did come across Costas as a young man. And you could see, I don't know that you could have predicted the level of stardom that he achieved, but you could see that he was going to be a very accomplished professional. Though
Really?
I was doing like major. I remember I was living in L.A. and I see Costas doing like the game of the week. He just replaced like Mel Allen or something, and he had to be like in his early 20s, so destined for greatness from the
How about
start.
Mike Tirico? Was he there when you were there?
No, he came much later. He was actually there when Jersey Kyle's brother. He was there with Iron Eagle and Jersey Kyle's brother, Tirico.
Yeah, I don't feel like any of these people are advocating to sign a big contract and then immediately
exactly. These people are
get off the air.
Yeah,
being on air.
Again, these are the people whose idea is hang on to every gig like grim death. Anyway, back to the board. Number one spot. There's always a low moment in the history of any awards show, whether it's at the was it Steve Harvey said the wrong movie at the Oscars. Whatever it is, there's always a low moment.
Yeah.
And the ESPYs produced a clear low moment just a few years back. And there's really nothing to say except Ben Affleck saluting Derek Jeter.
Always gets back to Boston and Affleck.
ESPYs, if there was any chance of me ever watching you, you blew it that night. Really?
Wow.
Ben freaking Affleck does a tribute to Derek Jeter. First of all, aren't you supposed to be like Red Sox super fan, Ben Affleck? Who the hell is a Red Sox super fan and does a tribute to Derek Jeter?
Exactly.
Who, by the way, the biggest career highlight in your life, Derek Jeter, was a blown call. Jeremy Giambi was safe. Everybody knows it. That whole moment is bogus. That whole highlight is crap. The umpire blew the call. And I feel like in Ben Affleck's case
Rudy.
here, do you remember when Ben Affleck was like a big advocate for, I think it was John Kerry in an election, and he went and did national tours, and Ben Affleck is a big Democrat. Then it turned out Ben Affleck has never voted in his life. I feel like this is the equivalent of that, is Ben Affleck, alleged Red Sox fan, does the tribute for Derek Jeter. ESPN, what the hell's going on? Who was like, oh, we need to do a tribute for Derek Jeter for his retirement, for the captain. Let's get Ben Affleck. But there's no celebrity New York Yankee fans? Like every time I turn, honestly, I'm not a fan of the guy. Rudy Giuliani would have been more appropriate.
Yeah. Fat Joe, I think, always has a Yankee hat on.
And he would have talked about 9/11 for 10 minutes of the 20-minute segment.
Fantastic. All right. More shots at Affleck. The big board.
I do it because he deserves them.
You're the man, Ken. Every week you do it.
Professor, outstanding job.
That
how
is
was
the low moment of the ESPYs.
Did you get out with Lubie to the trivia last night at Landland?
We did.
How was it?
It was fine. It was, we got a nice crowd that comes pretty much every week. And, they seem to like Lubie. So
seem to like
Lubie. An asshole.
If they don't, they're being polite about it.
And they lie well.
Now, is this like one of those deals where, it's Steve Martin trying to get the affections of Daryl Hannah? And, he's speaking to the handsome fireman, through a piece so that you're fueling the questions to Lubie?
Yeah, 100%. I don't do anything.
Oh, okay.
No,
all right.
because Lubie won't read my best material at that gig.
Oh yeah, okay.
Some hysterical stuff, and then Lubie will like balk. You won't read it.
Some of it is bordering, I would think, on what would be considered to the general public poor taste. Whereas we welcome it here on the Defo.
That's Lubie's opinion. It's not mine. We don't share it. But like I'll write out an answer to a question. Like Lubie, you can't do an abortion joke in trivia night.
Might be a point well taken. All right. Professor, we love you.
You can't write these jokes about Ted Williams' frozen head and trivia. You might be a Red Sox fan.
I was big with the frozen head jokes for many years with Williams. I still couldn't believe it was hanging upside down in some cryogenics plant in Phoenix. On order from his kids.
Not just that it was hanging in some cryogenics plant, that like it was hanging in some cryogenics plant, and then the bulldozer lost power or something. Some guy took it home in an ice chest.
And defrosted
Some guy like went to Walmart and bought one of those styrofoam chests. He's like, I'm gonna take Ted Williams' head.
Yeah, that's it. All right, Professor, we got to run. We have Lenn Robbins coming up, Stone Degenerate, and we thank you so much for your brilliance with the big board again today, and we'll talk to you again next week, my friend.
You guys have a great one.
You're the best.
All right, the Professor, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you might have to reel in a professor in one of those things where you're in public, and as you said, like, not everybody's there for the trivia, so they're not all in the spirit of the thing, and, there's a family over there on table 6.
Well, it's just that they're family. I don't care about if they're for trivia. That's their bad. They're there. It's the family stuff, and like, because we'll do Vega, and Vega is like people 20 to 50s, no kids at the bar, so we curse, we play music that curse, we go very risque. But Landlubbers is family. Like literally, there's kids there.
Some 6-year-old doesn't need to hear the sick humor.
30. It's not 9.
All right, we have to run. We're coming back with more in just a moment. Lenn Robbins is going to join us. That's always a lot of fun. And the Gambling Gourmet. So we have a lot to squeeze in a short period of time. Hope you stick with us here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. Back in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:25. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
Welcome back to the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest and Mike Lubie Lubitz, and this ought to be a real adventure. I mean, one of the things that happened to a lot of us, and I know it's a very sensitive issue, I don't mean to make light of it at all. They've just recently expanded mental health hotlines and suicide hotlines as they were once known. And many on Black Wednesday were in our Degenerate crew were on hold on various lines of this nature here, while waiting to get somebody on there to say, "Don't do it, no, don't do it, man. You don't have to swallow those razor blades right now. You'll be able to bet on something tomorrow, like the Yankees against Houston." And there's no better guy to address this sort of condition than our good friend now with Bet Basics, where they're telling you, "Hey, you guys, I mean, the name of the game is winning, and we can help you get there." And he's been helping people with his insight into college football and basketball and all sports for many, many years in a variety of capacities. The great Lenn Robbins joins us now. Is it true, Lenn Robbins, that you are at a tequila bar somewhere in Tijuana right now, wearing a leather jacket that you just bought on the Strip, and having come back from seeing a show that had some guy that looked like Hervé Villachez outside going, "Showtime, showtime"? How are you, my friend?
Yo no sé. Yo no sé.
Salt or no salt? Is your cardiologist aware of how you're ordering these drinks? What's going on?
I was wondering, how are you getting from swallowing razor blades to the New York Yankees? And then I remembered, you open the second half of the season, you get swept by the Astros. It's New York City. It's got to be the biggest story of the day, right?
Yes.
Everything's big. I got a lovely family sitting to the left of me from Texas, right? They come down. They're big, right? The guy's like 6'6". The wife's like 6 feet tall. They break out like a boom box the size of Lubbock, right? They're cranking out country and western songs. And here's the thing. I like all kinds of music to a degree. Like them all, right? Here's my one problem with country and western, right? To me, almost every song says the same thing.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly. Yes.
I shot my dog. My wife run off. My car don't start. Like it's all.
What kind of tequila are you drinking right now, Lenn? Because whatever it is, it's very inspiring, as we can tell. Yeah.
Actually, it's funny you bring that up because one of the things they do at a lot of bars and restaurants across the country is when you order like a frozen margarita.
Yeah.
Basically, you're getting margarita mix, maybe a spit of tequila and some triple sec.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, so I always get a shot floater on top.
Right. Yep. There we go. Yeah, but that's how you start your morning. Most people don't know the beauty of Defo in the morning.
Secrets of the show prep.
Your life philosophy. Right. Now I just order Hornitos. Right. I order a shot of Hornitos and a glass of water and some limes and, of course, a salt shaker. And the waiter looks at me every day and winks and says, "You're a smart man. You're a smart man."
Never mind the frosted shit. Let's get straight to the point here. Holy George Clooney, this stuff is strong. No, that's absolutely fantastic. They are psychotic, though. I mean, I have my New York Post in front of me here, and they didn't have a chance in this Bulldog edition that I get to get to the late game. So the total collapse yesterday by the Yankees was not chronicled in this edition of the paper, but giant headline: failure to launch. Bombers grounded by Strohs again in ugly start to second half.
They just started up 12 in the division.
I mean, they're ready to storm the Capitol building again. Well, what the hell? They're still up by like 13 games, aren't they, Lenn? I mean, what's with these New Yorkers?
When you said failure to launch, I thought, are we segueing into a wiener story?
How about the X's with Bradley Cooper now? Well, I mean, only in New York City could something like that happen.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm really, I may not be allowed back into the country after I say this. Okay.
Yes.
Like Bradley Cooper, in addition to being a very handsome gentleman, right?
Right.
Is a ridiculously talented actor, right?
Yeah, he's great.
And he dated he was with like Arena Shayak, right?
Yep,
The Sports Illustrated swimsuit.
Smoking hot.
And now he's dating Wiener's ex, Uma Abedin, I think is how she's pronounced.
Yes.
Uma Abedin. I don't know. Did both of their like image consultants get together and say, "Okay, Uma, you need a smoking hot guy on your side, and Bradley, we need somebody in like on the fringes of politics to make you more legit to the American people.
Yeah.
If that's not a computer date gone wrong, I don't know what is.
It's amazing. It's kind of like the Pete Davidson phenomenon, where you're thinking, this guy must have one that's bigger than Tommy Lee. I mean, that's the only explanation that you could think of. No,
jerk off. He's not funny.
It's
all
crazy.
I know is that I want to be Pete Davidson's tattoo artist because I am living in a penthouse suite overlooking Central Park.
A lot of body parts to cover there. There's no question about it. All right. Getting back to, I mean, you obviously have your finger on the pulse, Lenn Robbins, of the New York sports scene. Although, what part of Mexico are you in? I mean, I said Tijuana facetiously because that's as far south as I ever got, in visiting Mexico. Usually because of whatever problem there was that met me as soon as I got to the town. But and Agua Caliente wasn't very helpful back in the day either, the racetrack there. Where are you?
See, I thought you and I had an understanding, right, that we would never completely out one another.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to disclose a location. That's okay with me. I understand. Believe me. What are you doing in Mexico should have been my first question.
Right. So there are a couple of failed marriages in the past, right? There might have been a couple of wages that went sideways, right?
Yes.
There were a couple of backdoor covers that didn't cover, right? So I'm just going to leave it at this. I'm somewhere on the Yucatan Peninsula. Okay? Somewhere on the Yucatan Peninsula.
Did you visit Dr. Diamond on your way down there to get a nose job so you wouldn't look the same? I mean, did you make yourself unrecognizable? That's usually the case of most of our friends that go there. Yeah.
And this is again when I question my life choices, right? And I'm with a wonderful woman right now, the best woman I've ever been with, right? So one of her favorite shows is Botched. I walk into the bedroom and there's some babe sprawled out on an operating table with 42 triple Ds, right? And two guys with scalpels about to go to work. I'm like, I can't go to sleep like this.
You're waiting for Mark Roth to show up and roll one of them down the lanes there and go cross lane for a 10-pin. Yeah. It's crazy.
You guys wanted to talk sports for a second. Right?
No, it's okay. We just like talking. I mean, that's what this show's all about. The sports go on. Everybody knows. You can look at the standings, figure out what the hell's happening. I mean, I guess we should address the possibility of a Mets collapse. I mean, where do you stand on that?
I'll get there in half a second, but again, you have lured me into a dark place. Right? You started the show by going from swallowed razor blades to Yankees, right? So I figured, okay, how do I come over you, right? How do I stop you? And I said, all right, let's go from Botched to the Yankees.
Boot jobs, to the Mets, which would have been appropriate for many, many years, especially in the beginning.
All right, so let's do Mets and Yankees. I think the Yankees legitimately should be fearing the Houston Astros. I think the Houston Astros are still the best team in baseball. I think with that starting rotation, they can shut anybody down in a 5, 7, 40-game series. That's how good they are. As for the Mets, I give them a little bit of a pass because there's a guy by the name of Jake DeGrom who's been the best pitcher in baseball over the last 5 years who hasn't made a start yet. Right. So until the Braves draw even, right, go ahead, and then we see how the Mets respond. And here's where the Buck Showalter factor comes in, right? Last year they had a Double-A manager who had just gotten done coaching Little League, right? And the Mets just fell apart, right? Yeah. Now they have Buck Showalter, and I don't think people understand what a huge advantage that is for the Mets. So anyone who is on hold with mental health issues because of the Mets, hang in there for another month or two, then call back.
Imagine they ask you your level of desperation and then they put you on hold. Lenn Robbins with us from Bet Basics. Lubie's got something for you, Len. He's very curious about this Mexico trip also.
Well, no, I feel like I've gotten the skinny on the Mexico trip. I always love talking hoops with you, and we're talking about being on hold and being desperate. It feels like Kevin Durant was desperate to get out of Brooklyn, but the Nets are saying not so fast, my friend. What is going on up there? I know you've worked with the Nets. You still do a lot of stuff with Bet Basics with all the New York teams. What's going on with that? Like, is there any chance that he does get traded? Because it feels like what the Nets are asking for, no one can really give up.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out from a Bet Basic standpoint where this is, right?
Yeah.
The chances of Kevin Durant being on the Nets next season, right, are greater than the chances of me staying sober the rest of today.
You're already wasted.
I like it, man. You sound like you're ready to roll the 7 right now.
Yeah, I'm an hour behind you, and I've already started, okay? I know you guys get up very early to do this incredibly great show, right? But trust me when I say that I'm already on a first-name basis with a guy who was watering the plants, and I convinced him to open the bar. Look, the Nets and Durant and every NBA team out there and all the agents know exactly what this is, right? It's time to play chicken, right? You're driving down the highway and somebody's coming the opposite way and who's going to pull over first, right? By the way, a game I don't recommend for anybody, okay? But there are morons out there who still play it, right? You know, the Nets want to make it seem like we're the tough guys. We know we got this really valuable commodity and we're not letting him go for the entire amount of tequila on the Yucatan Peninsula, right? And Durant's sort of going to, like, you know, his people, if they're smart, are going to, like, you know, lay low and keep pushing the buttons to see what is the best deal that they can bring to the Nets. And it'll get done. But the only thing you need to know about this, speaking of people who, you know, are on a hotline, you're Kevin Durant and you're looking at the possibility of playing another season with Kyrie Irving.
Exactly.
It's another one on hold. I mean, they're piling up here. Just, you know, stick with us. We'll get to the next caller as fast as we can. All right, a final thing here, Lenn Robbins, and I appreciate you calling in from Mexico. It's fantastic. And we'll put it very succinctly, better chance of becoming a New York Knick, Donovan Mitchell or Joni Mitchell?
You know, Joni Mitchell in the song in the movie Love Actually, just like one of my favorite Christmas movies, right?
Yeah.
They play like one of her all-time hits, right? And Emma Thompson, just a terrific actress, says something like, "She helped melt her cold British heart," right? Here's the only question that I have, right? You're Tom Thibodeau. You're sitting on a chair right now in your office, and you have 1-800-HELP-ME. And you're on hold, right? You are a defensive-minded coach, and the prospect of those two guys in the backcourt, neither one of them who are really 6 feet tall, right? Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell, right? So between the two of them, right, you have like Muggsy Bogues and his twin brother, right?
Bring back Dean Meminger.
Right. But if I'm Tom Thibodeau, literally, I will stay on hold as long as it
takes. Len, can you do us a big favor and hoist one for us? And how can people get involved with Bet Basics? Because you guys put out a lot of great information and breakdowns and all kinds of stories. It's fantastic.
That's the question.
How do we get involved with it? Yeah. Send them our way. We're loving you know, everything you're doing there.
And here's the thing, for all you people out there who are like sports fanatics, right, but you really haven't done a whole heck of a lot of wagering, unlike the people who I'm on this phone call with, right, who are experts in parlays over on set, just remember the word basic. We're going to help educate you as to what a parlay is, what an over-under really is, what plus 1,000 means, and help you make the best bet possible. Okay, so, yeah, there are tons of other sites out there. But if you're still getting into the game, you still got some questions, come to betbasics.com, read my column, Lenny the Loser, and go the other way. It's as simple as that.
NBA Summer League. That'll be my next wager. They're betting the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't even know. I didn't recognize one name on the roster. So, and I'm in Atlantic City, and these guys are having this wild discussion in depth with analysis like they were Bill James. Coming up with Baseball Abstract. And I thought, well, geez, they must be betting baseball. And it was NBA Summer League that they were dissecting. It was just incredible, the level of sickness that's out there today. Len, you certainly have helped us spark some more of that here on a Degenerate Friday. We love you coming on the show. Have a great time down there in Mexico. We'll talk to you, I hope, when you get back. And thanks so much, as always, for joining us on a Degenerate Friday.
Guys, thanks so much. By the way, Defo, I did list your credit card. You'll be seeing new charges from the Yucatan Peninsula. None over $4, but boy, do they add up.
Well, and here's the thing: if you use the card too frequently, or even again, it'll probably come up apprehended once when they take it to the little computer thing they have, and that's always embarrassing. When they have to cut it right in front of you, which happened to me on more than one occasion. Thanks, Len. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Guys, have a great day. Keep doing what you're doing. It's the best show out there.
Enjoy your time. Don't get arrested.
Lenn Robbins, ladies and gentlemen. We're all over the planet with Len. All right, the Gambling Gourmet coming up, and we'll get right to that in just a sec here. Come back with Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. He was scarfing ice cream yesterday at a local restaurant here in South Florida with Lubie and the lovely Nikki Mohan. And, he's been all over the place eating with his best at Del Rey, Meshuggah with Dick Steen. We'll come back with the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, in a moment. Now that.
The time.
That was cool, Len, from Mexico. 8:45.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
He'll fight Brian Cox in the locker room. He'll challenge Bill Parcells to a verbal shout-out. He'll stare down Johnny Chan while holding pocket twos.
And then he goes
Mike
to
Mayo,
the London Business
Gourmet.
School for the savants.
How about that? Yeah.
I will crush
London
your
School
hopes
of
and
Finance.
dreams with it.
Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, joins us here.
I do all those things, and I also crush your hopes and dreams with a 3-word text giving you the bad news about game one.
Well, this was particularly brutal, and Michael, I thank you for doing that.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, and one of the stars of the network right now, of course, with his Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. The great Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, joins us here on a Degenerate Friday. I thank God. All I could think of when we were listening to that clip, and you, of course, crushed me last year when you passed along the news that the Marlins had lost in some hideous fashion.
The run for 71.
Oh,
and
man.
It ended in a blaze of infamy
Ugliness,
in many
yeah.
ways. We didn't get to finish the
But, I mean,
season.
thank God. This is a relief if you're a degenerate. When you finally get off of a theory that has been failing for you forever. And we're not involved this year in any way with an over-under with the Marlins. And imagine, I mean, this string of zeros would be killing you if you were hoping, that you held down aspirations that they might eclipse an over number, which I think it was pretty high this year. I think it might have even been close to 80.
Look, whoever bets the Marlins deserves what they get, which is not much. And
I bet them when they lost 10-0 when I was in AC that night.
I hope you bet on them getting shut out, because that seems to be the play these days for the Marlins.
Wow.
So that's
a lot of eggs.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I got to
write
on Lubie's haircut. I don't recognize him. He looks like.
Did he get this done after the show yesterday?
Yeah. No, he was a little bit. I wouldn't call him shaggy. His hair looked fine to me before the show. I didn't think he needed a haircut. Now he looks like the deranged character in Full Metal Jacket.
Yes,
Stanley Cooper film. What they call him, a Joker or something? Or
what they in wood shop they used to give you those things, a plane, I guess it's called, where you shave the wood off. It looks like he had his hair cut with a plane.
He looked like he got into a fight with a lawnmower, but that's okay.
Weed eater, something like that.
Some days the lawnmower eats you, as a professor would say.
You look resplendent, though, Mike Mayo.
Well, I've got a little hot lighting behind me today, and we had a fantastic time yesterday with Nikki. I love her; she's so good. She's just
great,
dives into that big chafing dish of ice cream, and we had a good time. I think we've had our fill of ice cream on that. I don't know why it just.
Where are you going next week? Another Baskin Robbins? Where are you
Baskin Robbins.
A new place called Let's Chill in Coral Springs. New ice cream shop. No, it's we're actually going to do that one. Nikki, this gives me hope, Defo. This is the kind of text you want to get where she says, because I was telling her that this other new ice cream spot up in Coral Springs near Lubie's house is owned by this really delightful young couple, and they both served in the Army. They're veterans, and they opened the shop about 2 months ago, and I went in there last Sunday with my daughter for National Ice Cream Day, and Nikki sent the text back like, we'll do that the week before Veterans Day, and I'm like, yes, it means we're going to get another contract.
I mean, she gambled. She's out of control at the racetrack. She's delightful. Has an outgoing personality.
Yeah,
that makes you want to smile. And she loves ice cream like you do, Mike Mayo.
But she's everything that I'm not, because she'll just brighten the mood in the room, whereas I'll bring everything down.
You have a tendency to, take the air right out of the balloon there and start talking about the Byzantine Empire and the prices of lobster.
I'm in a good mood today. I've had a
good. Yeah, you seem very cheerful. Did you win money last night or something? What happened?
No, actually, I played the Thursday night at Mardi Gras, and there's no worse feeling in poker than being the bubble boy. They were paying 15 spots. And I got knocked out in 16th. And but you know what? I shook it off. I did everything. I wouldn't replay anything. I may,
What were you holding? Were you bluffing?
No, well, the key hand that crippled me was, again, it's late in the game, and like the blinds are going up, and this means nothing to people who don't understand.
These are Degenerate Friday people. Come on.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm not on the lunch.
You may as well be Joel Osteen sitting in that.
No, the blinds are already. The blinds are at 5,000, 10,000. Everybody only has an average chip stack of 60. At that point, I had 40. And I looked down at an ace and 9 of diamonds, a suited ace, and I shove all in early position. And I'm just hoping nobody else has a better ace or a pair. And, of course, the guy to my left has ace jack of clubs. He's only all in for 33. I have him covered by just a little bit. And he has ace jack. Of course, the flop comes up 2 diamonds. So I have my flush draws, and then I would be back in the game, and I would be in the money.
Right.
And of course, no diamonds come, and the guy has his ace jack hold up, and then I have my little 7,000 chips left, and I got blinded out with a king. I have a king. I shove all in.
You're done.
Aces.
Right.
I'm done. Toast.
You got your last $7 at the track, and it's going up in smoke. So why even bet it? Just
I took my walk of shame home, and I was like, you know what? These things happen. I played a good game. I'm going to come back and get him some other time, and that's the positive attitude you need.
What happened? What happened to you though? Did you get hit with a coconut while you were walking your dog or something? I mean,
no, I ate a lot of good ice cream.
180-degree turnaround from the normal mentality, usually fueled by a winning effort. It's called mutual facility.
It's called being a Gemini and a little bit of that bipolar thing. So, but it's all good today.
All right, very good.
I got a little spiel here. I got to get out of the way because it's not going to be good for the lunchbox. This is strictly for the morning Degenerate Friday. But I know you guys have been mentioning and talking about the Live tour. Is it pronounced live or live? I never knew that with that place. The same thing as that Fontainebleau Club. I never knew how to. So,
that was also Club Live.
So this is the Live tour, which is an ironic name for a for a tour backed by a regime that loves to just make people die. But and then in that vein, and then with the hiring of Faraday, and it reminded me this might not be a good combination, because remember how Gary McCord was kind of the snarky golf announcer, and then one time he had the temerity to insult Augusta National when at the Masters broadcast, he said some of the new mounds that they built along the side of, I think it was like the 9th hole, said it looked like they have some body bags buried under there. So, like,
well, and then he used the bikini wax reference. About
bikini wax.
Yeah,
but and that got him banished from Augusta National. So
Hootie almost strangled him right there at 16.
Yeah. So like, you don't want to be using body bags on the Live Tour broadcast. And I was saying these are some of the other.
Oh
phrases.
yeah, that wouldn't work. You're right.
These are some of the other phrases that you won't be hearing on the Live broadcast, and hopefully David Faraday takes this advice.
Okay,
you can't say Mickelson really butchered that hole.
No.
You can't say that. You can't say Dustin Johnson is really hacking it around today.
Yeah,
and you can't say that the this course out here at Pumpkin Ridge, it's like a torture chamber, and it's like a trip to the Turkish consulate. You can't say these things on the
big Swede is really carving up.
Carving it up. Chopping it. He's just
good.
Chopping it today.
Yeah.
So these are the golf,
there's bloodshed here at 14 as both guys have 3 putted.
This course is bringing them to the knees and lopping off their heads.
And taking a machete to their perforated line on their neck. Well, and of course your man, a Trumpster, is involved, and he's vocally behind this. And, it looks like Barkley wants to. He's either using this as some kind of leverage to get another $20 million out of TNT, because if he leaves the show, really, I mean, Shaq and Kenny Smith,
it'll be a disaster.
It's over, right?
Well, that's the thing. Is like, do they realize that once they jump off this ledge and take this money, that I guess they can't go back? And I don't know. It's a complicated world.
They may come back, though. You never know, right?
When we
said this about scabs in football, these guys will never.
President Biden fist bumping the butcher himself, then what kind of signal does that send? And we are dealing with the Saudis and are going to be kind of the frenemies again, in terms of we have to get their oil and their strategic partnerships that we need them to be militarily aligned with us in the region. So it's a very complicated world, and this is
back
why I
to
left
your
politics.
editorial days. Very nice.
I'm just trying, the world, it's when you try to think too hard in a way that like, and all I want to do is avoid hypocrisy. I hate hypocrisy most of all, and you wailing on Caitlyn Jenner, very rightfully so too, because how do you stand up and try to be this beacon of transgender rights, and then on the other hand go around and say
rights.
Whatever. It's just and then just also try to play the family values.
But would you have said though? Would you have agreed with me that would have been the wildest proposition bet that you could have ever cashed on? I mean, I know Rory McIlroy had that thing where like his father bet a bunch of money that he would win the British Open when he was like 9, and he did it. And they cashed some phenomenal price, which they deserved. But the odds that Bruce Jenner, when you were watching him in the Olympic Games, and every guy wanted to be Bruce Jenner.
No, it's crazy.
And that he would eventually be a woman. I mean, if you had that proposition bet, with all due respect to transgender people and whatever, no commentary on that. Just the fact that it would be Jenner seemed impossible.
It
seemed impossible.
It just goes to show you that you can't predict what's next in this crazy world, except we'll try to figure out the winner of the Haskell.
Exactly.
Are you looking at this, Mike Mayo? Well,
I mean,
what's your feeling on this race? And
you mentioned it to me.
Of Eddie Haskell. Yeah,
this is
when you're doing it.
The biggest race day of the year down on the shore, and it's on Sunday because they don't want to conflict with Saratoga's big Saturday. And it's great. I just look at they have all their big major stakes races. The Molly Pitcher is one of my favorite races, even though I don't even know who's in it yet. And they have the United
Nations
Molly
on
the grass. I don't know, but I know that there's a rest stop named after her on the New Jersey Turnpike, or is it the Garden State Parkway? And that's how I know that name originally. And I always like saying,
They named the race for the cleaning lady at the Harris hotel.
I gotta look. We got this Google thing now. I'm gonna look up who Molly Pitcher was. But anyway, I just looked at I looked at the entries now, and the race of the
your horse is in there. Cyberknife, right?
Cyberknife, ridden by Flo. Again, if I had bet Flo in the feature at Saratoga last Saturday, I'd be holding on to $16,000 right now on a very small pick 5 ticket. I had 4 out of 5 on a $6 ticket on a 50
You've
cent
been coming
increment.
close. Yeah.
And like my handicapping was so good last Saturday at Saratoga, and I won some money, but I didn't win the big money. And props to our friend Joey and the crew at Cafe Seville, because they invested a little bit more than me, like $1,000 more than I did on my pick 5 ticket, but they hit it for 16 dimes on late Saturday, late pick 5.
Nice.
So we love hearing that on the Degenerate Friday, and I hope they don't give it all back already. But no, the Cyberknife is going along with White Abarrio, who's the winner of the Florida Derby, making his reappearance. And it looks like Taiba, trained by Bob Baffert. There's a name you don't often see at racetracks these days.
Yeah,
Taiba is running with Mike Smith aboard, and he's the 7-5 favorite. And and Baffert has had success in the Haskell, but I'm going to go heavy two-fisted against him with Florent Giroux, Brad Cox, and Cyberknife, who's a horse that rewarded me earlier this year, and I just hope that he runs a good one.
What a joyride! Kate Brainard, Doug Brainard on with Florent Giroux, winning big races all over the place, and saw him like Horseshoe Indianapolis, taking down a stakes race the other day, and did it on some 3 to 5 shot to jog. That's always a nice position to be in as a jockey, when you can just go and grab money all over the place without having to join the Live Tour. Although horse racing gets a free pass for their dealings with the Saudis. I mean, that one race is celebrated here.
Well, I don't know if it should be, and I've raised some questions, but they have that Saudi Cup that they just basically initiated a couple of years ago.
$20 million purse.
$20 million. They wanted to do it to just knock off the United Arab Emirates, the Dubai World Cup, which used to be the world's richest horse race, and so now there's 2 big rich horse races in the Mideast in the middle of the late part of the winter. But anyway, yes, a lot of the connections go over there, but it's just one day and it's horse racing. Nobody pays attention, so that's it. But
there you go.
Hey,
how do you know when it's cap day in Dubai? That's
one
always
more.
the question. Yeah.
What's that?
How do you know when it's cap day in Dubai? You don't know. I mean, did these guys come with this stuff, or did they get it at the gate when they came in?
I don't know.
Whenever they do that aerial shot, it always strikes me, to throw that out there. You don't know, right? I mean, did everybody have like when everybody has Yankee hats on at a Yankee game? Did they bring those, or were those the caps they were giving away at the door?
Giving away. That's it. It's part of the.
All right, what else you got for us, Mike Mayo?
No, I know we got to get out of here, but
we got the big show coming on our podcast.
I finally realized something. It's not quite an epiphany, but you guys often ask me like, "Oh, why do you hate sports?" and blah blah blah. I don't hate sports. It's just
you hate everything.
No, I've gotten frustrated and I've given up on some things. Like, okay, take for example, I have Dish Network. I've had it a long time. I'm an old person. I don't like changing around.
Right.
I'm sure I could get some streaming services, but Dish Network and Fox has been in this major feud for a long time. I don't get the local Channel 7 Fox affiliate on my Dish setup, and I also don't get Bally Sports. Those are the 2 things that they've been battling over the rights fees or whatever they have to pay. And I guess for whatever reason, Dish Network is stuck to its guns and is saying that the Fox is being unreasonable and they're not paying it. So for this reason, I didn't get to see the All-Star game. I don't get to see any of the NFL on Fox at my house. If there's a big game, I got to go somewhere else. And I could switch to a different provider. I've tried in the past certain things, and none of them will work out. But I also don't get the local Bally's network, so I don't get any of the local teams. I can't see the Marlins. I can't see Jessica Mendoza, and I'd love to be able to watch some of her work. And what I do get is, for some reason, they put on FS1 and FS2. Because those are like newer competitors to ESPN, and they want them on as many systems as possible. So that I get, so at least I get the racing from Saratoga. But I don't get my local teams. I don't get my local Heat, and I don't get my Panthers, and I don't get my Marlins. So what does it do to a person like me who?
You'd only hate them more if you watched them. You'd be like Lubie.
I'd watch some of these games if they were on there, but now my choice is I watch whatever the national game is on MLB Network, or I get NHL Network, or I get ESPN and TNT. So that's what I'm watching now. And so
you need like Hulu or something like that.
Well, no, I've got Hulu. I've got them all. I just don't know how to figure out how to get them all on. I gotta like switch around all the buttons. It's too much of a pain for a guy like me. But so the point I'm trying to make is, if people want, if baseball wants to get people on board and cheering for the home team and getting more of a local interest, it'd be helpful to have it available as many different ways as possible. And if you're gouging the local, TV providers or whatever, the satellite providers, what are you doing? You're just cutting off your nose to spite your face. So I don't watch the home local teams anymore. And you know what? I don't miss it.
There's your editorial, sports editorial, Mike Mayo. That's why you were the number one columnist there. Hyde was nothing, man. He used to have to hide in the corner when you submitted something to the editor.
Vanilla milk toast. Now he's
knowing that you were going
we
page
have different
one.
Styles.
It was like Eddie Pope and Bob Rubin, man, where Rubin was always on page 2, even though the Popester was dominating that left column down the left side of the front page
here's
of the
a
sports
lunchbox.
section. Even the front page of the paper. Yeah.
Here's a lunchbox analogy that I think is the perfect comparison of me and Hyde.
Yeah.
Hyde is yellow mustard, and I'm brown spicy mustard.
You're right out of the ballpark in Cleveland. All right, Mike Mayo, we'll talk to you 12 o'clock today with another edition of the Lunchbox. Always a pleasure, my friend, and we'll see you then.
And that's no diss at Hyde. He's great, but he's
the guy's great. But, you need a little spice in there.
He's calm.
He's different. We all have our styles. All right, I'll see you.
He's still working. We're out of the business. All right,
whatever that means.
Something to be said for that. All right, Michael, we'll see you at 12 o'clock. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox coming up 12 o'clock. All right, we have to run our Believe podcast today. The Big Show. Paul White will be with us. He's in a new movie, but always fun to talk to because he does dive into his career in professional wrestling. Obviously, that's going to be a big part of the conversation, so you can catch that later on. That is BLEAV Network, the Believe Podcast Network. All right, we'll see you Monday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. A lot of fun. Thanks to the professor. And Lenn Robbins joining us from Mexico. What was up with Eric, man? He doesn't like Lenn Robbins? He doesn't get the guy?
It's funny that he's a fan of us because he liked hardcore sports talk.
Yeah.
We never do that. And he likes us. He's followed us everywhere, but that's never been our thing.
I mean, that was like Hemingway-esque. The guy sitting in a bar in Mexico somewhere with a tequila sunrise, getting the guy who was watering the plants to open up the bar. We've all experienced that, right? Schwitzing and high humidity. You're trying to get some guy in Jamaica to open up there so you can have like a rum, rum runner or two. All right. We'll see you guys Monday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch you on the Mayo Lunchbox later on, 12 o'clock today. And Lubie and I will be a part of that. And then don't forget about the Big Show later on Believe, BLEAV Network. We'll see you Monday at 7 if you miss all of that, as we leave you on that.
The time.
It's 9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.